Fundamentally speaking, if you're going to succeed at marriage, two things. You don't need 100 things in order to succeed in marriage and relationships. You don't need 20 things in order to succeed in marriage and relationships. I'm not sure why we make it so complicated. Like, why do we think it takes all of that? You can have an amazing, powerful, connected, life-giving marriage or relationship if you do two things. Just two things. If you do these two things that I'm going to teach you today, if you pay attention to these two things today, that's probably more like it. You'll be able to assess and understand where your marriage is, why it's in the condition that it's in, and I believe you'll have hope for always improving it, taking it to the next level. Because as I said already, you don't need 20 things, you don't need 100 things, you don't need to understand 50 things. All you need to understand is two things. When you get this, it's going to change the game literally for how you move, how you operate in your marriage or in your relationship. Now, I'm a marriage coach. I'm Hairston. I work with high-performing professionals in sports and in business. It's a real treat, joy, and challenge to operate in that space, but I love it, and I love when couples thrive. That's my thing that I wake up thinking about. That's the thing that I go to sleep praying about. That's the thing that just stirs me and motivates me. And so my hope for you is that this video will do just that for you. So let's talk about these two things, not 5, 10, 15, 20. So what does it take for a marriage or relationship to succeed, to really be on track? Two things are desire. Say that with me. Desire. Come on, say it again. Desire and capacity. Say that with me. Desire and capacity. Well, now you could use other words like will and skill, fire and fuel. It's the same idea, but these two things, the desire is the passion, it's the want to, it's the motivation to go for broke, to pursue what's best for the relationship. And when it comes to this whole idea of capacity, it is, do you know what to do? Do you know what to do? Do you know what's necessary? Capacity is amazing. Desire is amazing. By the way, you cannot separate these two in a relationship in terms of how they affect the relationship. So I'm going to talk to you about 4 scenarios when it comes to desire and capacity, and it's going to help you begin to evaluate where is our relationship really. Okay, so desire, if you're in a relationship and there's no desire and there's no capacity, it makes me wonder, was it that way before perhaps you got married? Because if there was no desire and no capacity, it's highly unlikely that these two people would come together in a marriage relationship. You ever met somebody who was interested in you and they're like, hey, you're all of that. You're amazing. You're beautiful. And you're like, thank you, but no thank you. Like you didn't have any desire or any capacity. You didn't want to learn how to like them. You didn't want to learn how to be in love with them. You had no desire, no motivation. And sometimes people don't read the room well. That person might have continued to pursue you, but nothing was going to change your mind because you had no desire and no capacity. Now, the interesting thing is that there are people who live in marriage relationships where both desire and capacity have dwindled to zero or close to zero. And when that happens, what you have is a very stagnant relationship at best. Maybe stagnant isn't even the word. Maybe it's just fully, completely disengaged. Both people who have no desire and no capacity are fully disengaged from one another. And if they have not already filed for divorce, they're on their way. Or they've just decided we're just going to live in the house together and pretend, but we're not going to really work on this relationship. Because if there's no will or skill, if there's no desire or capacity, this is a disengaged couple. How do people get to this place, by the way, if they are already married? I can tell you that people lose their desire when they've been wounded. They lose their desire when they've been wounded. And they've been wounded and they've been wounded within that relationship. At some point, desire piddles away. Desire diminishes. And capacity can also diminish when you run into circumstances that are beyond your ability. Can I just say this real quick? This is my soapbox. I don't know how it is that we are raised in societies where people get married every day. People get married, build families every day. There are about 6,000 weddings a day in America. That's somewhere around about 2 million couples get married every year in America. And that number is climbing, by the way. Check out one of my recent videos. And nobody is showing us how to actually do the relationship well. Yeah, you go through like 3-4 weeks of premarital counseling, but how are you going to build a lifetime relationship on 4 hours of premarital counseling? That's the most amazing thing. You go prepare for a career and you go 4-year degree in many cases, and then you go get a master's in many cases. And oftentimes people go and get these terminal degrees and they've spent years building their careers, but have developed no capacity for the marriage relationship, the one relationship that is most vital, most important for your long-term joy and happiness. And we don't develop capacity. So when we stop learning, we diminish our capacity. And when the desire is diminished, we have a completely disengaged couple, but you can recover those. And that's the good news that I got to make sure you know. You can recover those. You can get your desire back. You can grow your capacity. You can learn even if you have dwindled down to nothing in terms of desire and capacity. So the first scenario is when there is no desire and there is no capacity. Can I give you a second scenario? Good. I'm glad you're open to it. It's when there's no desire, but there is capacity. And that's a unique combination. There's no desire. That means there's no fire. There's fuel, like we know what to do. It's when a person's not motivated. It's when they're saying, I don't want to try anymore. I was talking to a lady recently about a mutual friend of ours. Couple is a mutual friend of ours, and learned that one of them just said, I don't have the desire anymore. And I know that I should pray for my spouse. I know that I should forgive my spouse. I know that I should encourage my spouse. I know the things that I should do to rebuild our marriage, but I don't want to. How does anyone get there? I believe people get to that space when they have been wounded and wounded and wounded and wounded. Like I said earlier, they have grown weary of feeling unsafe. They have grown weary of feeling unsupported. They've grown weary of being unpartnered with. At some point, their desire diminishes to a point where they just don't have the motivation anymore. So if you or your spouse have lost your desire, but you know what you can do, you know what you should do in order to reignite the fire of your marriage, your relationship, well, then just know that this could be why. And you probably need to have some really tough conversations if there is enough desire on both your part about how did we get here, about what hurt us. You probably want to get some good coaching. Let me just put that bid out there. You want to get into a good program where you can learn how to work through conflicts and how to work through and heal wounds from the past, because when you've been wounded, oh my goodness, it will suck the life out of you. It will put water on your fire. And so many couples are walking around with wounds that they've never dealt with. And so many couples are walking around with so many unresolved conflicts, it is causing desire to diminish and at a rapid pace. But this couple, what I would call sort of a dormant couple, they got the capacity, they got the capability, they got the skills, they got enough information, if you will. They've seen it done enough. They've heard what to do. And now they need some desire to grow. Well, how do you help a person grow their desire? Can I give you 3 words? Empathy. I know, I tricked you. It's one word 3 times, but that's what it takes. You don't explain people back into desire. I tell clients that I work with all the time in my coaching groups and my private clients who pay a lot of thousands of dollars to work with me because they like that private space. I have to remind them constantly, empathy before explanation. Try that with me. Come on. Empathy before explanation, like empathize before you explain. A lot of times couples get into disagreements or they get into heated conversations and they start explaining what they mean or why they said what they said or what they think you mean, and completely skip over the real issue, that something is happening to the other person inside and you don't see it and you're not expressing empathy. But the moment you begin to express empathy for where the other person is, what they have experienced in relationship to you, now all of a sudden desire begins to have its fires rekindled. Is that making sense to you? Are you tracking with me? Are you getting this? So there can be a relationship scenario where there is no desire and no capacity. And then there can be one where there is no desire, but there is capacity. And I'm telling you, when either one of these is turned on, you have some hope for growing the relationship. And so don't give up is really my point, but try to understand what's going on. Let me give you a third scenario here where there is no capacity, but there's desire. Now, desire is the fire, but if you got no fuel, you got a challenge. Desire is great. And in fact, there are a lot of people who get into marriage relationships just this way. This is the couple who they were excited excited to come together. They were excited to get married. Some of these couples knew each other for 3 months. They had all kinds of desire. They fell in love and things were passionate and things were hot and things moved fast and they got married and then they started building a family and then they were building careers. I was talking to a couple just like this the other day. They said, we were in college, we close and we were good friends, but then something changed and then years later we got back together and we got married in like 2 months and now we need some help. We need a coach. We need somebody to coach us because we are not clicking at all. They have desire, but they don't have capacity. They don't know what to do. They never discovered how to actually build a healthy marriage relationship. They don't have a clue about emotional connection, about their own emotions. They don't have any clue about how to actually resolve conflicts in a way that brings them together. They say, we don't communicate well. And this is what I hear from most of the clients and the groups that I work with. They're like, we do not communicate. We don't know how to communicate. That's a capacity issue. That's not a desire issue. That's a capacity issue. You got a desire for each other, but if you don't know how to communicate, where are we going? Am I making sense here? Where are we going? And so this couple needs to develop their capacity. They need to learn how to manage conflict, how to resolve conflict. They need to learn how to connect on an emotional level. They need to learn how to communicate. They need to learn how to actually heal wounds, how to actually repair when there's been a rupture in their relationship, but they don't have these skills. Do you have the skills? Do you have the skills? I specialize in giving couples skills. I can't make you have desire. I can't coach you if you have no desire, but I can give you the skills if you have the desire. Like if you got no will, I can give you the skill, but that's not going to do anything for you if you just have no will, no desire. But if you have desire, if you got the will, I can give you the skill and you could have banger, amazing, powerful, extraordinary, life-giving marriage because all things are possible with God. Are you tracking with me? So this is a couple who I say is eager. They're eager without understanding. Are you eager without understanding? Like maybe it's just one of you who's eager without understanding. But when you got desire without capacity, you're going to be eager, but you will hit a roadblock because one day there will be conflict that will make you feel like you're about to snap. One day there's going to be misunderstanding. One day somebody's going to hurt the other person with words or with constant, what I call micro offenses or macro offenses, right? Stuff keeps happening. And when it goes unresolved, doesn't matter how much will you have if you have no skill. Doesn't matter how much desire you have if you don't have capacity. So if you're the eager couple or the eager individual in the relationship, you want to work on growing your capacity, your knowledge base, your skills base, because relationships require skills. Can I help you real quick? Right? All the will you can muster, but no skill is going to make you frustrated. It's almost kind of like trying to grow your career and you got a desire for your profession. You walked into a profession, but every year you got to go tune up. You got to go get some more credits. You got to go get some more learning. It's like you have to keep educating yourself. Why don't we do this when it comes to our marriages? I don't know, because I don't do that. I'm going to keep growing, and I'm not going to try to help my clients apply things that I'm not willing to apply to my own self. So when I started studying trauma, I tried to start applying it to my marriage, to our relationship, to understand our trauma and how we brought it to the marriage and the impact that it had. Right? When I started studying emotional intelligence, before I started teaching it to my clients and how to apply good, healthy emotions to their marriages, I was like, yeah, I need to do this at home, baby. Before you go out there, work it right here. Is this making sense to you? All right, let me give you one last scenario. This is the couple that has desire and capacity. Oh, to have both. To have desire and capacity. This is a couple that I say is like aligned. They are fully aligned. They are clicking. They are in agreement. How can two walk together, says the prophet Amos, if we're not in agreement, if we're not aligned? How do we walk together if we're not aligned? So where there's desire and capacity, what you find is a relationship typically that's very mature looking. And I say mature looking because you can be aligned with desire and capacity at a young stage in your relationship, but usually that you look very mature. Now, be careful because when you're aligned doesn't mean you get to coast. You still need to learn. You still need to figure out what fires up the other person, what motivates them. You need to deliver on that, keep keep growing in it. But where there is alignment, there is extraordinary potential to fulfill your purpose as a couple. And can I just say a word about fulfilling your purpose as a couple? Your purpose is not the person on the other side of the relationship you're in. They're important to it, but you're called to co-labor together to fulfill some great destiny. And so many couples miss this, and we get sidetracked and we give up on our marriages because we forget that there's a much bigger picture. Like, God didn't bring you together, and I believe God brought you together. Some of y'all are like, no, we brought us together. Well, however you got together, you might want to figure out, like, what is the big purpose behind why we're together? Is it like each other and look each other in the eyes and smile and make love and have children and own 6 houses and 5 cars? What, everybody gets off to a great college and career once you raise the kids and send them away? Listen, we operate from a purpose in our marriage, right? We believe we're called to something. Part of my calling is to do these videos to help you. It's to coach so that I can help couples. It is to coach so that I can help families for generations to experience the goodness of love and the goodness of God's love in their relationship. So when you have capacity and you have desire, you got desire and capacity. This is a highly motivated couple. You become creative. You become highly effective. You love showing up at home because you know there's great expectations when you get home. You miss each other. You communicate with each other. You connect when you communicate. You resolve conflicts. It's not that you don't have conflicts, it's that you work to resolve them, and you're consistently resolving conflicts. Can I just say, I bet there's somebody watching this video right now. You're like, I wish that was us. I wish we could get excited about each other coming home. I wish we could be that couple who resolves conflicts and we move forward and we don't let stuff linger. You're that couple who wants to have real relationships. I was coaching a couple yesterday and they were fit to be tied. They reached out to me because they had run into some mistrust or broken trust issues around money. And you know, like I do, if you can't trust your spouse when it comes to money, we're going to have trust issues because one person is going to feel insecure and the other person is going to feel ashamed. And it's a real hotbed for conflict. And they're sitting in the session far apart from each other, looking at each other like this and blaming each other. And I said, you know what? I bet that there are things you've never talked about inside your marriage and you have resentment about it, don't you? They looked at me like this, like, how do you know that? I said, because when you talk to each other that way, it's an evidence that you don't talk much about real stuff. I feel like I'm digressing, but let me just give you this anyway. This is a couple who doesn't know how to resolve conflict. And a lot of couples, you got the desire, but you don't have the skills. You don't know how to resolve conflict. I want to invite you to our upcoming challenge where you can learn the skill to communicate in such a way that you'll be able to resolve conflict. Imagine what that could change in your marriage. Imagine what that could change in your relationship. Imagine how the air you breathe in your home could change. No resentment, no fog, no icky feelings, because you have been not only operating out of desire, but you're now building and growing your capacity so that you can be aligned. Hey, I got some great resources for you down in the description. Make sure that you grab one of the links to something that will help you, and especially our upcoming challenge, because I want to help you get to the next level. You only need 2 things, desire and capacity. And when you measure those, it can tell you where your relationship may be struggling and perhaps what you need to do. You need to either restoke the desire or you need to increase your capacity, your knowledge base. That's what we do here when we're coaching couples. All right, I hope that was helpful to you. I had a blast. I hope you did too. I'll see you in the next video.